Welcome to our first ever Trendy Talk, where we will teach you how to talk about trending topics. Today's topic is the TSMC stock jump of July 2020, so right now. We'll first read the headline here, and the headline says, TSMC jumps nearly 10%, adding $34 billion in revenue as Intel faces next generation chip delays. So what we're going to do is we are going to focus on just this segment right here. All right, so first of all, what is TSMC? So TSMC is Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. What about this next word of jumps? What does that mean? Jumps would be increases a lot in one moment. And then it says TSMC jumps nearly 10%, adding 34 billion in value. So 34 billion is a very, very big number right here, as we can see from this number over here on the left. 34 billion. So TSMC jumps nearly 10%, adding 34 billion in value. This means in one day, the price of its stock went up by almost 10%. So we're still looking at the main headline. So what about next generation? So next generation means the next level, or the thing that comes after. And then we have the word delays. What does delay mean? Delay is the situation of something happening later than expected. So basically, the reason why TSMC stock market increased by nearly 10% is because the company Intel is having some problems with putting out their next chip. So here we have are the key points of the article. There's 3 of them. So we're going to go over each one. This one is going to go over just this first one right here. This one says, shares of TSMC closed nearly 10% higher at 424.50 Taiwan dollars, an all-time high for the stock. So let's look at some of these words down here. So let's look at shares. What does a share mean? So a share would be part ownership of a company. So think stocks. Then we have our next one, all-time high. So this one is going to be highest in history. Not to go back and forth, but so we have the word stock. That is going to be like shares, so think of part ownership of a company. All right, we're going to move to the next part of this, and that's going to be this one right down here. All right, and this one says, Intel said last week that it may look for third parties to manufacture its chips containing so-called nanometer transistors. All right, let's look at the word third parties. So a third party is down here, a person or company indirectly involved. So a nanometer is this very, 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 very small thing. Let's just say very, very, very small. And then we have the transistor. So that is something used on a computer chip. What does this sentence mean? Intel said last week that it may look for third parties to manufacture its chips containing so-called 7 nanometer transistors. It means Intel is looking for other companies to help produce their chips. All right, so let's look at our last bullet point here. TSMC, which is a foundry, could benefit by taking some of that business. Let's first look at the word foundry. It makes chips that other companies designed. So they don't design their own chips, they make them for other companies that have designed them. So benefit, as we can see here, is an advantage that is gained by something. So this sentence, TSMC, which is a foundry, could benefit by taking some of that business. This means is TSMC, it makes chips designed from other people, and because of that, they could have an advantage by taking some of that business. That business would be this top bullet point of making chips for Intel. So now we're going to go into some of the different paragraphs of the article. So this one says, Taiwan listed shares of TSMC rallied on Monday after US chipmaker Intel said it faces delays for its next generation chips and could outsource some of their production. So rallied would be increased again. So again. Then we have outsource. So outsource is to assign work to another company to help you. So this one says, when it says Taiwan listed shares of TSMC rallied on Monday after US chipmaker Intel said it faces delays for its next generation chips and could outsource some of the production. So this means is that TSMC on the Taiwanese stock market, that their stocks increased a lot on Monday after Intel, the computer chip company, says they're going to have other companies make their chips for them. All right, this next paragraph. Intel, which is already behind competitors such as AMD, said it had found an issue in the 7-nanometer manufacturing process. The U.S. chip giant's management said during its second quarter earnings call that it had made contingency plans, which includes looking at third parties to manufacture these semiconductors. All right, let's look at the words in here. Let's first look at the phrase behind competitors. Behind competitors, what does that mean? If we go down here, we can see it means other businesses like yours are doing better than your business. Let's look at the next one, issue. All right, so an issue is a polite way of saying problem. You don't want to make it sound like it's a problem, so you say issue, which means problem, but it doesn't sound as bad as a problem. The next one we're going to go over is manufacturing. So manufacturing is the process of making a product. So the next word we're going to go over is giant. So giant can be referred to a person that's very, very tall, or we just use that to refer to very, very big, as you can see down here. Very, very big. The next one is management. What is management? Management are the people making everyday decisions of the company. So like your boss or someone like that. Earnings call. So earnings call is the time, usually, 4 times a year, when the company tells others about how much they're making and their plans for their future money. All right, then the last one of this paragraph, contingency plans. Contingency plans. So contingency plans are a plan created for a result other than the usual plan. So the plan you don't want to have, basically, is what it is. So if we look into this again, the whole paragraph is Intel, which is already behind competitors such as AMD, said it had found an issue with the 7-nanometer manufacturing process. The U.S. chip giant's management said during its second quarter earnings call that it had made contingency plans, which includes looking at third parties to manufacture these semiconductors. So when Intel wanted to tell about the money they plan to make, that they said, we have a plan that wasn't our first plan. And this plan is to hire other companies to make these chips or these semiconductors for us. If you want a PDF version of these notes, it's going to be in the description below underneath the subscribe button.